Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Red O'Loughlin here on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I've had Machiel Hoek on before. He's a Dutch author, lives in Netherlands, and I find him fascinating in many regards because he gets into some really deep topics. Today we're going to talk a little bit about his book, The Girl Who Changed the World, but we're also going to get into some of the deeper aspects of that particular book because I think it's important, particularly because we're almost on, in fact, I think a week from today or something like that is Christmas. Not quite a week, but we're looking just a few days away from Christmas. And so, oh, by the way, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. But some of the things that we really need to give some serious thought to going into 2025, we're going to talk about today, because I think all of us want to have a nice, happy, enjoyable life, be positive, all that kind of stuff. So why not find out from one of the masters as to how we make that happen? Machiel, please join us.
Thank you, Red. Nice to have me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
For our audience, would you pronounce your name out loud so they know exactly how it goes?
My first is Machiel, like Shaquille O'Neal, and then Hoek, like Captain Hook. So Machiel
Okay.
Hoek.
Machiel Hoek. Okay.
Yes.
I was telling my wife that I had a little bit too much German in there when I was talking to her about that. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
The Girl Who Changed the World. We've talked about that a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about your writing career. What prompted you to start writing, and then what prompted you to actually say, I need to be an author? What kind of evolved?
Yeah, as a child, when I wanted to understand the world, I thought I had to do it by reading. So as from, I think, the age of 10 until somewhere end of 30s, I read over 2,000 books. Also, of course, some novels, but mainly focused on religion, spirituality, the secrets of the world, the old world, extraterrestrial events, the origin of life, of our solar system, of the universe. I loved reading them because I thought that would give me more information about what I thought was the secret of life. I wanted to understand the world the way it was, and why there was so much things that I thought were wrong or negative. And at the age of somewhere 40, I was in a position where you have to do just 2 more years staying with my company, and then a large sum of money would wait for me. And I thought literally at that moment, somewhere in a holiday in France, 2 more years, and then I can finally do what I want. Maybe I can go looking for the secret of life that I was yearning for as a child. And at that moment, I was just really surprised by this voice inside of me. It said, no, sonny boy. I felt literally like that. But it said, if you want to do that, you got to do it now, because there's no other time. If you won't do it now, you will never do it. And then you'll be 65 before you know it, and you'll regret this moment that you didn't take action. And it was such a real voice to me that I thought, oh, gee, I have to do this. I'll lose this big sum of money, but my heart is probably worth more, so I'll comply and listen to my heart. I went on I changed my life totally. I got away with everything that I built up, also materially and in terms of possessions. And I started looking for the secret of life, which took me quite a while. But I thought, if I find it, I want to be able to explain it to other people. I want to write the book that I would have loved to read when I was a teenager, a young adult, or an adult, that would give me these answers in a way that would just take me by the hand and just make me find that secret myself, instead of just telling me what it is. And that's what I did. That's what I didn't want to become an author that way per se, but I thought it would be necessary for me to be able to get my topic for myself clear, and also to get it into the world, because I thought that's the least I can do and have to do, to share it and to give the a new angle for maybe people who are looking for that.
Well, that kind of solves a couple blank holes in my brain, because the last couple of times we talked, we covered other aspects. I mean, we talked about your book, but we really didn't go into real depth of why the book was covering those things, and you decided to make it into a story form. Makes it a lot easier for people to do. But when your book is in paperback, it's an ebook, it's also an audiobook. Is that true?
Correct, yes.
So you get 3 options on getting the book, and it's in English and it's in Dutch, correct?
Yes, and being translated into French, German, Italian, Spanish now, but that's that's coming up.
I'm glad to hear that. I've talked to some other authors about when you convert your book from one language to another, what is easy in your native language doesn't translate easy into another language. And so there's a lot, 90% of it probably is okay, but sometimes the little concepts or verbiages or idioms or something are not quite clear.
True. Well, even more, I think, because of cultural differences. When I had the book translated first by a professional translator, I got warnings from them saying, you cannot do this in America. You cannot even write this in America. I thought, what? America is a land of freedom. No. If you write this, your book will be banned from Amazon, or you'll be even maybe sued. What? And I got more insights into these let's say cultural differences between our countries, maybe Europe versus America, or more the Nordics where I live, Scandinavia, Netherlands versus other countries. Also the UK, England is quite different in that way. And those can be small things, but this is a story about a small girl, a teenage girl, 13 years old, and she stays with her grandfather for a week, and he teaches her. She isn't happy. I think there's some setbacks in her life, and that's clear for her grandfather. And he takes her by the hand, trying to get her to find a secret of life herself, and to discover how the things that she experiences adversities can be maybe turned around and be put in a different light. And by doing that, he comes up with practical examples and really also fun things to do. But by writing about them, I discovered that it's very different the way things are maybe perceived in America. And I got into some of my own practical experience with that later on, when I was arrested in Los Angeles for giving away my book. But we can come to that at a later point. But for instance, there is a part where Lisa is the protagonist, the girl, and she's quite afraid because her mother talks about it in a negative way, about homeless people and refugees and people in shelter camps. So at some point, her grandfather introduces her to a homeless person, where she will have a real life conversation with, and she understands him. She no longer sees him as a bum, as a homeless person, but as a person, as a human being, and understands where he's coming from, where he came from, why he ended up on the streets. But by doing that, I understood that you can write about it freely in Europe. Nobody gives a care about that, how you write about that. But I understand that in America, it's very important that you do not, let's say, even write about it, that this girl is being confronted with a homeless person without proper guidance, and the fact that her grandfather is all times with her, because otherwise you would be maybe promoting the fact that you want to introduce younger children to get in touch with homeless people. That might be dangerous. So there's a lot of, and that's just one aspect. There were several aspects where I understood that the cultural difference between how you write about things and how careful you have to be sometimes about how you formulate them are much more than just translational differences. There's really cultural difference. And that's also important to recognize. I didn't recognize it up front.
Okay, why don't we spend a little bit of time talking about the authoring part of this, because this is really and truly the Corner Bookstore. And then we'll get into some of the more deeper topics about finding your purpose in life and some other things that I think we both want to get into, because it's really important, particularly with the New Year, just literally almost touching distance. So how long did it take you to write the book?
It took me 10 years.
Okay.
Because this whole search or quest for the secret of life became my own quest for reconnecting with myself. I grew up in a business environment with a large consultancy firm, became a CEO and first entrepreneur and CEO in a large firm. I got carried away by what large corporate companies do with many people. They make you think it's very important what you do, especially within that company. The company becomes important, you become important within the company, so it's a double up. And that's not me at all, but I got carried away with it. I got tempted. I, of course, got some more money. I bought up too much expensive stuff, too expensive home, too expensive car, because it all came with the role, the function, and of course the clients I was dealing with. And I had to undo myself all of that to get really to reconnect with myself, or to become at a point like a void where I was not sure of what I was doing. I was literally sitting with at the attic in my parents' home, being 41, and I spent the last time there as a teenager. So what happened? What did I do? But I now know that it was very important to be at a void and not knowing where to go, what to do, because at that moment you make decisions without knowing where you're going. And those decisions are guided by your heart or whatever you want to call it. And at that moment, it just, for me, became a journey. I recognized that I was the book that had to be written first before I could write this book about what I thought I knew as a secret of life, and which in the end turned out to be a little bit different.
Okay, so you wrote the book. It took a number of years, a lot of self-reflection in that. How long did it take to have the book edited?
Well, once finished, of course, it took not that much time to edit and to get it out. I think what every author knows, you think the hardest part is writing the book, but then you get to, well, you want to get it published. Finding a publisher can be very hard, especially if you're not a known person or with a large online following these days. And then if you have it published, then getting it sold, getting it to people out there, because you have kind of a mission, you want people to share your story, what you created with others, is another a big hurdle to take. So it's the 3 steps that are not only the writing and editing, but then getting it out there. So the editing was a smaller part, but I remember I had a very tough editor, and it was like a thing you make at high school, a report, and you get it back with all red in there, saying, oh, what have I done? You get like a D- or something. And then it takes just, well, your own conviction and confirmation to say, I will not change this. This is what I stand for. This is what I want. This is what it needs to go out there, because I don't want to comply. I want to do it with my own energy. And that's hard sometimes.
Okay, when did you start marketing the book?
I started in COVID time in the Netherlands here. We had a lockdown. And at some point, it was even before getting published, no one wanted to get it to publish it. And I thought, well, I have it here. I want to share it. It's a book that needs to be shared with the world right now. So I printed 2,000 copies of that on my own expense, and then just had it. I literally delivered it every mailbox here within my neighborhood, within the village that I live in, for 2,000 people. And I thought, well, I'm just going to share it. I'm used to Burning Man, and one of the Burning Man principles is gifting. So I thought, I'll gift it and see what happens. And that took a role of a lot of enthusiastic reactions and people bringing it further. So that was kind of a spark to get it rolling. But I did it from my heart. I just wanted to get it out there.
I think it's safe to say you did not use any artificial intelligence in the creation or publication or any part of the book.
No.
Okay. The cover art, the girl who changed the world. How did you decide that's what you wanted on cover?
Well, when I had finished my manuscript, the first first one to read it was my wife. And when she finished it, she said, "That's why I married you." And that was quite a goosebump for me. And I know she's very critical about me in terms of what I produce and write. So that was a real compliment for me, because if she don't like it, she'll say it straightforward and straight away. And I've been told many more than once that he didn't like something that I created. So she was very enthusiastic, and she's a designer herself. So we thought, how can we make this design reflect what the book is about. And at some point she just started working on it herself, saying, okay, it might be a professional designer we need to involve here, but let's see what I can do with what I know about you and what our story is about. And what she created in the end was, in my view, exactly what this book is about. Especially with let's say, there's many elements in there, hidden elements that someone who reads the book might understand. But it's even about, if you see a shooting star going to the moon, it can be like the sperm fertilizing the egg. It's new life. It's masculine, feminine. There's so many elements in that cover that may be hidden or in plain sight that are relevant to the content of the book. And that's why when she finished that, it was magic to me. It was like goosebumps, saying, okay, this is what this cover needs, and this is what the book needs, and it reflects everything that's in there.
Well, I thought it was interesting, and a little bit of the research I was doing. I pulled up the book, I started reading it, and the first thing that popped up was the introduction or foreword that you had by Baptiste de Pop. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right.
Correct.
But I watched a little video of him talking about his journey in life, and he left the lawyering field, and I guess you and he both connected somewhere down the road. And it's an interesting story about why are we here? What's my purpose in life? And I think it's one of the comments he made in the video is something like, you don't find your purpose by thinking, you find your purpose by being still and allowing it to tell you. And I thought it's kind of interesting. It's not the way we think things transfer, but when you look at the heart being the primary thinker, for lack of a better word right this second, that communicates with the brain, which communicates to the rest of the body. And many times the heart knows what's going on before we actually see something. I guess they've done a lot of experiments on that. But in the context of your book, I think that was a super excellent choice in being able to say, I want this guy to do this thing, and this is why. So I congratulate you on that.
Thank you. And Baptiste is a good friend now, and he was the creator of The Power of the Heart, which I watched before I knew him. And it's indeed about what the heart is. And there's in his documentary, I think it could become quite well known in the US at least. It's like What the Bleep Do We Know, but it was issued, I think, 10 years later. One of the experiments that they really describe and view how that is performed. People get images on the screen which have a very profound impact on how they react, because it's like spiders. It's beautiful women, beautiful men. It's loud, very powerful images that really affect your emotions, some more than another, of course. And what they noticed was that before the next image would come up screen, there was already a response in the heart that would communicate to the brain, which would already communicate the emotion that was related to that next picture. So it's about, you're talking about milliseconds, but it's about the heart actually seeing or perceiving, knowing what's coming up before it is even visible to the eyes. So that was indeed the statement. The heart is actually up front, and it's the first organ or the first sense. So it might be this is the sixth sense or the first sense that picks up what's coming up. And of course, to us, it doesn't look that way. We think we see something and then react to it, but it's of course so fast. But these tests turned that out, and that was so wonderful to learn that, because there's a scientific experiment and it really shows that's also to people who are maybe less spiritual, that it's not about spirit, it's about how your body works, and your body works with the heart as being your central organ that sees things first, indeed. And that's why I thought it was very applicable and very applicable to have him write the foreword for this book, because that's about making decisions with your heart, while knowing that the way how you were raised, the way where you were born, your parents, everything that came to you in your earliest years and then later on is a combination of everything in your body. And of course, we think we do everything by our head. We do, of course, a lot of things by our head, but our heart is always in control. But we don't often see it that way. And of course, if we try to make big decisions by thinking rather than feeling or tuning in with our body and our heart, we might have a different outcome. And that's what he says in one of his movies. Says he first of course, ask what do I want of life, and then reverse the question, say, okay, I'm going to sit here and say, what does life want from me? And that was, I think, a very powerful transition.
Yeah, I watched when they wired everybody's heads up and their chest and everything, and they all clicked to EKGs and everything else, and they would have a blank screen for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. You didn't know how long the void was between pictures. But before the actual, let's say it's a kitty cat, before that kitty cat popped up, you were already in a joyous mood because of that particular photo, which you had not seen yet. And, if there was a car wreck and a lot of carnage there, again, the same emotion you would feel if you had seen that and were looking at it, you actually experience that in the heart before the brain actually took hold. And the part I think that to me was really interesting was the fact that we tell ourselves sometimes, I have this gut feeling about something. Well, you have to go from the heart to the brain to the gut to have the gut feeling. But I think, and it makes a lot of sense to me now, that when we meet new people, sometimes, oh, great guy, or just something's wrong there. My wife is a fantastic judge of people, literally in seconds. She can give you a thumbs up or thumbs down in regard to whatever it may happen to be. When I interview people, I'm looking for a fit within a technical organization, whatever. But she's looking more at the social aspect of things, and she's very, very good at it. It's something I can't see. It's blinders on. But when you're looking at the book and you're talking about why am I here? What's in my life for me? Your book, is that going to help somebody uncover that journey, be able to help them change their world a little bit?
Here's a cultural difference. If I were American, I would say, yes, of course. And I would say, wow, 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 maybe. Being Dutch, European, being a bit more on the safe side, or I'm not saying it might. But I do have so many letters, emails, responses from people who read it, and something really shifted in the way they look at things. Even a small example would have, in some cases, just gave them the flip to look at it differently and experience it differently and interact with things differently. And I got some really wonderful examples of people who will really say this book. And of course, it's not only the book, it's of course the way they behaved until then, the point they are in their life. But this book helped them to change their life for the better. Of course, that's what we want. We want change for the better. And of course, it's called The Girl Changed the World. I think a lot of people might be fed up with change these days, because please, no more change. We see so much change in the world. Can we handle even more? And I think, of course, we always say change is a constant, so get used to it. It's easier said than done, especially, of course, if you're aging. For a lot of people, you want your world to be stable at some point. But we're not going to get there. We're going to get more and more change. And I think what is important, especially with these holidays coming up, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a very happy New Year, to take the time of contemplation and introspection, saying, okay, what does a happy New Year for me mean? What does Merry Christmas mean? What does it mean that change is given us, and what do I want to see as a change? What change can I bring into the world? It's easy, like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. It's easier said than done, but at some point you gotta just have a practical example or something that just gives you the push to say, okay, this is what I'll do. This is how it works. And when you start doing that, you see the results of a different interaction, the different energy you radiate into the world will instantly give a different feedback, will give a different view on the world. And that's discovering that and being able to play with that and to develop that is, for me, is magic.
Okay, in your description of your book on Amazon, you talk about how thoughts and actions shape your reality. So in other words, I can think, but I may not necessarily be able to affect what I'm thinking. So I have to have some actions to go along to reinforce it. Could you go down that road just a little bit?
Yeah. There's always the perception that we have five senses. We can talk about sixth sense or even more, but we have five senses through which the world appears at us. It makes itself clear to us. We experience the world in a way that you could say is a single route. The world is coming to us and in us through our senses, our eyes, our ears, etc. So that sounds like the world is a given and only we are the variable. And then we come to this funny part that says, okay, what happens if we start giving different signals into the world? What if we take the maybe thought for a moment that our eyes, our ears, all our senses in our body are not only receptors, but also they're sending, they're actually transmitting energy. And that sounds like spiritual, but quantum physics is really just about this topic at all. It changes everything that is known in normal physics and turning it around. So if you would think of yourself as a bat sending out this radar signal constantly and getting this signal back, then something might shift and something changes. The thoughts that we think about ourselves, about the other world, and that's proven by so many authors. It's even part of all religions. The way you think about yourself, the way you think about your world is the way, of course, you're going to perceive the world. So if you think about the world, if you can see the world as your mirror, it's reflecting you, it's reflecting the way you feel, it's reflecting the way what you think. And if you see things in the outside world that you're not happy with, that might say something about yourself that you're not happy with yourself, then it gives you the tool and the options to change that. If you accept the concept that the world is a mirror of yourself, that gives you both endless responsibility, because then you are potentially responsible for everything that happens outside in the world, instead of you're being the victim or you're being the person watching it. And it also gives you endless possibilities, because then everything is possible, which is life, of course. But knowing how to do that and master it, of course, becomes your life, the rest of your life, because you are the one making it happen. You are the one making it real or not real. You are the only one having that experience, and that's unique, because there hasn't been someone like you on this planet before, and there won't be anyone like you ever after, because the combination of where you were born, the way you were raised, your DNA, your body, the way you were, every position that you have and where you interacted with the world is always unique. No one will be and has been like you in this world ever before, and will never ever be after.
It's interesting because when I started thinking about thoughts and actions, it reminded me of a Japanese proverb, something that goes along the lines of vision without action is a daydream, action without vision is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's so true. We have thoughts, but we don't necessarily have a vision. We take actions that may not be in alignment with our thoughts. And another aspect of your book that you talk about is being able to balance between doing and being. And I think that's the natural follow-on between the thoughts and the actions, is that we have to have, you just can't go overboard in one area because you're not achieving that vision that you really want for yourself. Fair statement?
Yeah. And if you're talking about Eastern ways of looking at life, Eastern philosophies, one of them in Buddhism is the golden mean, saying that, of course, there are the extremes, but everything in nature, everything in the world, everything in the universe tends to balance, tends to reach a stasis or stasis. I'm not sure what the right pronunciation is, but the balance. And of course, there will be always actions that keeps it from the balance, and like a plane, only 1% is exactly facing its destination, and the rest of the time is just wiggling through the air, minorly. But the golden mean is something to strive for. And I think in our world, we see two things. We see polarization, and we tend to believe that extremes are the way to go, either be extremely this or extremely this, for or against something, and also against the other person, or to have an extremely enjoyable life by enjoying the more, let's say, physical aspects of life or material aspects of life. Everything that every old philosophy and religious, also religious and spiritual approach tells us, is that the balance is what you want to strive for in the end, because the balance is where you are in line with everything out there, with everything in the universe, everything on earth, and everything in your body. And to strive for balance might sound difficult, but once you are in there or have experienced that, it becomes more of a way of life. And I think that's what you talk about vision. If you have a clear vision of what you want in life, some religions, of course, very clear on what your vision should be. And if you want to integrated in your life, then that's a clear given. But for a lot of people, that's not that clear. Determine for yourself what your vision is, what your golden mean is, what you want to, let's say, experience in this life. And of course, extremes are there to maybe enjoy and to experience. And then coming back to the center where there is balance and see what happens.
Okay, but when you have balance, and all we're thinking is, where am I fitting into this whole thing? The one thing I liked about the interview I watched with Baptiste is that he says, "What does life expect from me?" It's the opposite of how do I fit in? What does life expect from me? Now, in your book, is Lisa faced with that question, with that challenge, or did it come naturally to her?
Well, to a certain point, yes, because it's the combination of the adverse events in her life. Her parents divorced, her father did something that hurt someone else. Other things, she's being bullied at school. It sounds like external events that you say, I don't want these, but how can I deal with them? And am I the victim, or can I change the narrative and not become the victim, but the creator? And it doesn't say that you are the fault, so you're not to blame, but when you embrace the concept that you're the cause of everything, because you caused your own experiences. If you weren't there, you wouldn't have that experience. So being there makes you, by definition, that's my view, the cause of everything. You're not to blame. There's nothing, you can't do anything wrong, but recognizing that you're the cause of it gives you, again, the endless responsibility and opportunities to change it, to change what you want to see differently, and to find a way to make that happen. And sometimes it's just by also reversing what you just witnessed or what comes to you. If you're being bullied at school, it sounds like you're the weak person, the other one's a strong person. Most people who bully at school are really insecure boys and girls that found a way to deal with their insecurity. Once you experience it, once you see that, saying, okay, it's not about me, it's about them, the whole narrative changes. That's a wonderful insight for children, if you are able as a child to being helped to get that insight.
There was two questions that you posed in our preliminary communications before we came on live today. One was how to stay happy in our gloomy world, and the other, let's take that one because I think we have enough time to answer both questions. So,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. How do we stay happy in our world?
Oh, wow. That's the easy answer. No, of course, that's one of the hardest things to do, of course, to strive for. This is not new. What is pronounced everywhere is that being grateful, being thankful, being aligned with, let's say, abundance in your life is the first step to happiness, to eternal happiness. And I take that to radical gratitude by being thankful for everything, including your enemies, your opponents, every adversity that you experienced in life, and everything that you see out there in the world happening, which you may have a very strong feeling about that it's negative or should not happen. It is very strange at first to be grateful for it. But once you start doing that, and it becomes a habit every day to do that with everything that happens, and the easiest way of doing it is, of course, if someone cuts you in traffic or does something that is totally wrong, or is being rude at you, by being grateful at that moment for that person and to that person by expressing it. It's like you change the narrative, because normally you would be assaulted or you would be very angry about it at that person. And if you change that with love, with kindness, with acceptance, with gratitude, everything changes. And it sounds like someone speaking like saying total happiness. It's hard to do it every day. It's hard to do that in situations because life treats you with circumstances that you've never experienced or expected before. So how do I deal with this? But practicing gratitude and gratefulness and thankfulness in every aspect of your life is really something that is helping you to be happy every day, because it's really changing the narrative, and it takes away the experiences of negativism and of adversity in your life.
Okay, second question, probably our last one, looking at our time, was how do you control your own enthusiasm, your positive energy? That was another topic that you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, that's it's like the first topic I said as well. It's hard to tell that to other people, especially if I have to tell that to someone who has been less fortunate than me, because you can always experience and imagine that someone else has been seen more adversities than you have yourself. So it's always relative, but for determining it for yourself, saying how can you stay positive. For me, that's a deliberate choice, and it sounds easy or a platitude, or it sounds like yeah, easy to do that. It's a real, by definition, a choice to be positive in every situation. And for me, I was raised by that, so I was lucky to have parents who were doing that and showing that as an example to me. But I incorporated my own. I choose to be positive about any circumstance and any situation. And if the certain situation is sad or is really adverse, then I choose to be positive about next steps, about things, how to make things better afterwards. But I choose to stay positive by definition because I believe that's my religion, maybe even to stay positive in a way that that's the only thing that helps yourself and humanity thriving. To be, it's like having hope for a better outcome. It's like having hope for a better day, hope for a better tomorrow. And I think that's also what these holidays and Christmas and New Year's about. It's a new start. It's a reset. We hope for a better future. We hope for things to get better, and that's about a positive change. And they always say that a positivist, that someone that's an optimist, is of course is irrealistic, and that a pessimist is a realistic optimist. Everyone to decide for him or herself. But staying positive for me is like a firm conviction, a decision I made a long time ago, and that I apply every day. And for me, it has become automatic. I cannot do. I cannot do without, but I cannot not be negative, not be positive anymore.
Okay, so other than you buying an airline ticket, flying to the United States, renting a car, and driving to somebody's house and putting your book in their mailbox, all joking aside, how do people find your book? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can get in touch with me anyways. If you look at my website, machielhoek.com, you can find my contact details. If you buy the book, it's on Amazon. My contact details are in there as well. And you can find me on social media, just to type in my name. I'll be happy to answer anyone because I love the interaction. I love input from anyone else. And of course, I am in the process of getting my book into bookshops, but that takes time. So currently it's only on Amazon, but Amazon is wonderful in this way.
Okay, the name of the book is The Girl Who Changed the World. The website for our audio audience is Machiel Hoek, MACHIELHOEK. Let me repeat that, MACHIELHOEK.com. So with that, Machiel, I appreciate it. We've had a few times this year to chat. I enjoyed all of them, especially today. I learned a lot more today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Red, and have a very happy holidays and Merry Christmas and a very wonderful, fresh new start of the year.
Okay, 6 days out from Christmas, and we're here having a good time, being positive, and still trying to figure out how we fit into our world in 2025. So with that being said, I'm bidding adieu to Machiel for today. Look forward to seeing you next year talking about whatever's coming up. And that being said, we're getting ready to conclude the Corner Bookstore. But today I'm on a triple banger. I'm doing the Corner Bookstore. Immediately thereafter, in about 20 some minutes, I'll be doing the Wise Ones. And likewise, the following hour, I'll be doing Talking Heads. On the Wise Ones today, I have a personal friend, actually. He and I, before COVID, would bump into each other periodically at various networking events. John Gorosh is our guest. He is a professional notary, but he does mobile notary, does a lot of different things. And I think it's an interesting field to get into because at some point in our life, we got to get something notarized, and there's lots of questions about that. With that being said, the next show is Talking Heads, and I'm doing a series now. They're one topic shows, one day only, and it's what would I do? And then I pick a topic. And we've talked about various things the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. Today I'm talking about heart health. What would I do to improve my heart health? So that's something that's near and dear to me. It's something that's changed in my life in the last 7-8 years. Unfortunately, I didn't realize how things were going to change, but when you get an invitation to Vietnam 50, 60 years ago, whatever it was, and get exposed to Agent Orange, those things happen down the road. Is what it is. Can't change it. But what I can change are things in me that I can do to improve my current health. So with that being said, catch you all next week on the Corner Bookstore. Red Laughlin out with the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Bye now.
We face daily cyber risks, spending over 7 hours of screen time, including 4.5 hours on mobile phones. This convenience comes with significant dangers, with cybercrime costs predicted to exceed $10.5 trillion by 2025. In 2023 alone, seniors lost over $3.4 billion to cybercrime. Our goal is to make social engineering concepts of cybersecurity easier to understand. We work with business teams, senior living facilities, investment companies, and educational institutions, both individually and in groups. We offer real-life examples to help you recognize and prevent attacks, with sessions available both in person, in selected regions, and remotely. Schedule your training session, or to learn more, contact us today. Call us at 847-845-9360. Email us at info@cybersecurityeasy.com. Protect your team and family with cybersecurity easy.com.